Hey everybody, this is Norby here of Commitment Church, and I am happy to have you join us again to another segment of Worship Team Foundations. We're here with our brother Hezekiah Bard.
What's up?
Yeah, and we're happy to have him. He is our resident drummer, one of our drummers here at Commitment Church.
Yeah.
God has brought him from a lot of experience and backstories and things that we can probably do 4 segments on. But the reality is we're all here to speak on insights and tips for worship teams all across the nation. We want to make sure that you guys, worship leaders out there, have the tools that you need. And not that we have all the answers, but that we want to share. We want to put ourselves out there and let you guys know that you're not alone, that you're not, by yourself in this walk of worship leading. So from small to big, from up and down, from highways to byways, we want to touch on every subject and not holding back. So we're basically bringing in all of our worship team members one by one and just kind of taking that time to just shed a light on controversial topics. So Hezekiah, what brings you to Commitment Church? What has been the journey to getting here with your family? And tell us a little bit about yourself as you go into lieu of that.
Yeah. So it's a very long story. Or I guess the journey was a long journey. The story's not that long. I kind of shorten that out.
Sure.
But my family and I, we were actually attending a family church. We attended basically our entire lives. It's the same church that I actually grew up playing drums. I started playing when I was 4 years old. I used to watch my oldest brother. He was playing. He's extremely good. He doesn't play anymore, sadly, but he was extremely good and encouraged me. He was playing, then my uncle would fill in every once in a while. He would play and would really encourage me and influence my, that want to even know what the drums are and, what making a beat is and keeping time and, and then since then it was kind of Jesus. He wrote,
That's pretty cool. That's
I just played and I didn't get off. It was hard to get me off. But we attended, like I said, our entire lives at this church. Grew up here, had a lot of experience. The experience that I developed over the years playing didn't just develop from my family church, but it also stretches as far as me traveling outside the states and playing for big conferences, different services, things like that. I even played put a couple concerts together locally at my church, and I would play there or MC there or whatever, which just bred even more of my musical talent and the passion for it. What brought my family here, we had actually reached a point in our faith that we felt the urge to step out. We've been part of our family church for a long time. It wasn't an easy decision for us because we've been there so long. And of course, for something you're doing for a while, it's not comfortable just to step away. At least for us, it wasn't. So we got a lot of pushback. Of course, parents were upset. The pastor was upset.
Sure.
And, the worship team was upset because I was a big part of that. So was my wife. But at the end of the day, we decided we had to make a decision that was best for us. For our family and for our spiritual growth. So we were looking around, visiting different churches. I was actually visiting another church, Keys to Life Ministries. And we were visiting there every other Sunday, something like that, alongside some other churches. And we were doing it so wrong because we didn't pray about a transition. We knew we were supposed to transition, but we didn't really take the proper step. So we actually ended up leaving the church and checking these places out, but didn't really reverence God for the decision. So I had made my mind up that Keys of Life was going to be my church. It was a great ministry, great leader. I thought it would be perfect for my family. And one day my wife, she's like my anchor. She holds me, keeps my mind focused on God. Mm-hmm. She tells me, "Hey, babe, did you pray?"
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry, Lord."
Right.
So yeah, I actually took the time out. It was one night we prayed, and God spoke to me and was like, "Just be patient, wait." And I was like, "Okay." So it was actually the same day. It was the day before, the night before. I was actually going to call the pastor of Keys of Life and let him know that my wife and I were considering joining the church, and we wanted to be active in ministry, so on and so forth. Wanted to learn as much as we can, whatever. And he told me to wait. So I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
So there was a Saturday service that we were having here.
Okay.
And my wife was like, "Hey, one of my friends go to this church around the corner, Commitment Community Church. They have a service on Saturday," and I'm a car salesman. So Saturdays, I work, and there's times where I get off late or whatever the case is, puts me pretty much out of the time frame of what most activities are going on. But this day was unique because I actually got off on time, which was strange.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, sure, we'll check it out.
Sure.
So we came and checked it out. The entire, I felt the Spirit walking in here, and it was clear as day. Halfway through the service, I guess we can say, it wasn't really like a service. It was different. Like it was cool.
I'm sure, so we could be very different.
Yeah, it was creative. Like it was amazing. Something I've never really seen.
We used to call it Cafe Commitment.
Yeah,
because of the coffee component. We were sponsored by our local Wawa, and we had coffee in the midst of just music and a little bit of a teaching, and it was really nice. It was really nice, cozy time.
Yeah, and I think cafe was the perfect
for sure
for it, because
who don't like coffee, right? Right.
But that's the style that it was, and aside from the creativity aspect and just the style, the setup, and everything else, which I wasn't really wowed about.
Sure.
It was more so the message that was brought.
Right.
And it was a short message, but it was so powerful in just that one segment, that short segment. And it was clear as day. We went home and we prayed about it. And God spoke to me that this was where we needed to be. And I was like, now I don't know these people from Adam. Like, I know a couple guys that came here and, but, I didn't really know everybody here. So it was unfamiliar for us and for me especially. So, after that, we came to a Sunday service. We came to the next service, and that was it.
That's amazing.
We've been here since. They embraced us immediately, and literally our lives started to change like never before.
That's awesome.
Things just started aligning and just making sense, and it was perfect for us.
That was cool. Yeah. It took just one look.
One look. Just one look.
That's an insight. We were just watching a video on the song, and it was really amazing.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. I think, and the cool thing about it is, in each of these episodes that I bring somebody in, none of them have talked to each other. This is unscripted. We kind of go in and just kind of share from our hearts. And if you remember from our first ever episode with Melissa, she shared the same sentiment of just walking in, and the first thing that they did was hug her and welcome her in as like a family reunion. Like, I've seen you forever, or I haven't seen you forever, but I'm happy to see you again, and reconnecting. And that's very unique. And I share with her that that's something so unique to see in a church, is to kind of embrace that atmosphere of embracing you. And even just like nowadays, I was sharing in that last video as well, just people don't smile anymore. People don't really talk to each other anymore. Now you look at somebody more than 3 seconds and they want to fight you, or they think something's wrong. Quickly, this spirit of offense that's out there, and we want to break the yoke of that. We want to just kind of like release into the atmosphere life and love, and learning. And I think one of the things that we want to learn from each other is each other, have relationships together that will stand the test of time. And I think one of the things in worship ministry that we lack a lot of in a lot of the teams is relationships. We have a lot of people that are even, You know, and that's, again, there's so much that can come through my head, but, you know, we got hired help, you know, that comes in once in a while. We got people that have been with the church for a while, but are going through some things as well that nobody knows. They don't open up. Maybe because they don't trust their leadership. Maybe because the church is so big, awesome, big ministries, but they lose the sense of intimacy with their people. Exactly. And now you're coming into a ministry that sometimes you don't even know how to start because they look like they have it all together. There's no entry point, you know, and here at Commitment, we try to make sure that there is an entry point for everyone. How did you become the drummer that we know now as part of the worship team? Like, how did that then start happening? You started coming now. God said, this is the place. It confirmed it in your family. And now you're a part of the worship ministry. How did that happen now?
So I think it was a Saturday service. You guys needed a fill-in. I think it was that. A friend of mine, Gio, plays keys. He's another keyboard player here, and I can't remember if it was you or him that reached out to me first. Said, "Hey, would you want to play?" I think you asked me, "Would you want to play?"
I think so. Little birdie told me that there's a musician sitting out there, and I'm like, you know, we needed another drummer too.
So I was, you know, I didn't normally, and this is just being candid. I've walked into churches and where my pride was just the arrogance was. It was bad, really bad. I would walk into places because I knew my skill.
Just you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I would walk in there and I'm like, you know what? I'm here. You know, I'm better than who's there. Why don't let me hop on and play? So wrong. There were so many small things that just kind of confirmed this was the place for me because I didn't have that feeling. I didn't project myself. You know, as I want to start playing. I came to really learn.
So many walking billboards out
there. Right. Like, hey guys, by the way, I am the drummer. Like hug the drummer. So like obvious things, you know, I was actually practicing humility because that's one of the growth aspects that I really needed at that time, and still today, but I needed it more than ever. And when I attended the service, I was attending to have an experience that you know I wasn't used to and wasn't really expecting. I didn't know what to expect. You know? But when I was asked, I was like, well, I'm not normally used to being asked, you know, like this. Having to say, hey, bro, I'm here if you need me. You know?
Exactly.
But it was I think that's what kind of opened the door. From there, it's just been like, you know, hey. You know, would you like? And what I love about Commitment, and we've been falling off here, my wife and I, but they have classes when you new membership classes, but it's not your normal new membership class. We just go to one class and then you're set for life as a member of Commitment Community Church. It's a series of classes, and they literally prep you spiritually to not just, you know, go out there and worship or play your instrument or practice your gift. They actually hone the craft inside you, and they pull out other callings that may actually be there. So that's one thing that stood out to me because it wasn't just like, hey, you're going to play, all right, and you're going to have fun. It was like, hey, we'll allow you to play, but we also have these classes you have to take. And I'm like, oh.
We are very like, we definitely love the process. And that's hard to say sometimes coming from a musician, an artist. We don't like processes. We don't like being boxed in. We don't like being tied down. We just most of us have that still even inside of us today, but we have it on check. Is that mindset of, well, we got it all together. We know our craft. We know what we got to do. And we kind of just want to just go on stage and serve in that capacity. But we definitely take our time to equip people further. Because it's like you said, you know, there's more to just this Hezekiah and this one guy that you see in the drum cage. There's more to that. And we want to make sure that we open up that floodgate of possibilities of where God has a calling for your life in many different avenues, and we're not just about just sticking you in one place and just that's where you stay and you die there. There's so much more to God than just
Yep.
You know, he's not just a creator.
Right.
You know, he is Abba Father. He is everything. There's so many names, I can go on and on.
Right.
And in those names, there's a characteristic that's different about him. Right. You know, and I think that's why we have the process in place. You know, I remember actually even talking about the process when we had the interview with you, and we sat down with the core leadership. We have about 4 core leadership here in worship, and we actually coming alongside of Pastor Cedric. Now we affectionately call him, and you know, our head worship leader. And the reality to this is because really, if we're giving the place of where God has called the church leadership, if not the best person to have a pulse on the people and the leadership and the move of God has to be the pastor, and the pastor also has to have a pulse on where the worship is headed and the direction in which it's going. No different than when he's sitting before God and he's hearing from God for the message. You know, that is the direction in which we're supposed to be following for worship. So what song goes with this topic? And you know, and we've learned, even in some conferences we've been to, where we were able to learn the dynamic of the pastor with the worship team and the worship leader, and it goes together. I think if there wasn't a relationship put together between the two, that's why we see a lot of worship teams struggling, because there isn't a relationship with their head leader. So we affectionately call him, you're our head worship leader. We have a pulse. Every Thursday morning here at Commitment, we have a meeting with our pastor, and we really touch base on, I mean, we might not even have an agenda set, you know, to really talk about, but he'll come and, how are you doing? And he'll just get up in your face and your grill, and how's your family? How's your wife? How are your kids? Like everybody. And you touch on all of that, because, and you'll think to yourself, okay, it's been about 45 minutes. We haven't touched on one thing about Sunday or music or words or lyrics or songs, but we've touched 45 minutes of your actual personal life. And then after that, we might even touch maybe 5 minutes on, okay, so maybe this song comes to mind and this song next, we're going to go over it tonight. That's it. But what we've learned from that is that because of the time we've taken with our leader to really find the pulse of where God is taking the worship through the message and through what God wants to say to his people, that's all we needed to really, really, really find a hook and sync right there to the song selection, to find out what God is saying to his people. And here in Commitment, we also write our own originals. So we have a lot of songs that we've written based upon the message. It was one of those, you know, challenges that we've gotten as a worship ministry, to write our own songs that go monthly with the sermon series. And that's another, you know, episode. One day we'll talk about writing and tell you the journey that we've had with that. 3 albums later and going on the 4th, and you know, different musicians and different stories of everybody coming into the recording sessions, and all of the late night ones and all of the early morning ones, and there's even why we don't record at night anymore, and all those things, you know, that, you know, society says this is how you do this, and then we forget, well, God is much more creative than just a status quo. How do we do this that will honor God and will honor the ministry and the Great Commission work that he has set out for us? So yeah, I sit there and I remember asking those basic questions. So what is worship to you? You know, what is on your playlist currently on your iPhone or your whatever you listen to music on? You know, what are you playing in your car? What's your devotional time look like? You know, basic questions, you know, and then of course, you know, letting them know, and listen, and this is one of those controversial topics, you know, we are I remember like yesterday we told you we're an active recording ministry band. We make CDs every year. We publish these out, you know, because we have a mission. It's not because we just want to be another band with music on iTunes or on Spotify or wherever you listen to music, but because we have a mission before God to spread the gospel on our side of the fence to the world. And our side of the fence is worship, is music, is the arts, and you know, and we wanted to make that known, because a lot of times artists want to get, you know, paid for what they do. And that's you're worthy of your hire. But in some cases, missionary work doesn't just mean you leave on a plane to another land, to do mission and go with just the clothes on your back with a Bible and just a stepping stool and preach the word in the jungle. Missionary work can start right from your backyard, and it starts from your home local church and finding the need that is immediate to your community and your people. And for us, it has been giving people exactly what they need, and we love covering songs from different artists. We have our favorite artists, but God has called us out into writing a specific message that goes to the people, that when they walk in, they get what they need, their plate of food. If I was, there's people that have allergies. If I invite you over and give you the same kind of plate of food I give everybody else that's guest at my house, you may have an allergy, and if you eat that food that's actually wholesome for one person is actually poison for the other. So that you have to think about, expanding your mindset of how you feed the people the word of God, because there's so many different types of people, and we're a diverse church as well. We're a multicultural church for all nations, so we try to make sure that we touch on everything. And that was one of those things we let him know as well, hey, we record, we do this and this is the mission of this, but also what's your genres like, what do you listen to? And then we challenge each other on different styles of music and stuff. Tell us a little bit about your journey with us as it relates to now. You have been playing with us, I forget how many years you've been with us now, like 3, 4, maybe. It seems like it seems like forever. Like we've been together for a while. But even at that, I mean, look how much God has done in the short time that we have been together. So you come from what kind of background of music, and then compare that to what you're doing here.
So my normal background was gospel. I mainly played gospel. I remember trying to learn fills and chops and licks and everything on a set. I would literally watch Gospel Chops on YouTube just to learn.
That's gospel. A good channel. Check that out.
It is, really.
Gospel Chops.
Gospel Chops. I would literally watch them just to learn Gospel Chops because I was playing gospel music. However, my genre was well-versed. I listened to everything from country to classic rock, Christian rock, contemporary gospel. So I actually knew a little bit of contemporary, not as much as I know now, nowhere as close to it. But when I came here, I mean, I've been pushed to really, I guess like use what I've been already, what my ears have already been like
in tune to.
Right, sure. Thank you. Right, so the Latin feel, it's probably my favorite now. I got so much to learn there. I've been actually studying a little bit more there. We do some funk, some rock.
Right.
We had some folk. Like it's
everything.
If you download the CD, Primary Worship Band, it's on iTunes.
Shameless plug.
Yeah,
there you go. You got it. Hey, this is
download now.
Yeah.
But if you download the CD and you look in your genres in your iTunes, there is no specific genre we are categorized under.
Right.
Like, I mean, we're categorized under folk. We're categorized under country. Like, it's a mixture of everything. So I would say the sound here is extremely diverse, and it fits our mission here because our mission is to be a diverse church. And we are now. I mean, we have people from all nations that come here. You know?
For sure.
And I think it's perfect. I think it's absolutely amazing how we've been able to grasp and enhance worship in a sense, from what I'm used to. It's just, it's amazing. But the genres now that I've been introduced to and even play now, an introduction in my playing is it's definitely a lot more than what I was accustomed to.
That's cool. So you mentioned earlier, that coming to commitment, things started changing drastically into your life. Tell us a little bit of some of those things that has impacted your family in a good way. What God has done for your family in relation to Commitment Church and being a part of a worship ministry as such, as how you express, there's so much that you're learning, not only just musically, but also personally. I know for me, there's been a lot of growth me as a person, as a father of 3, and you know, obviously a husband, and you know, to my wife, and just all around good person, trying to be a good person in the norm. But the ministry has helped me out a lot. Of these moments where you have, you know, misunderstandings in ministry, or miscommunications, that take you to a place where, you know, you avoid people, or you don't want to talk it out, you know, and you know, and that sometimes, you know, becomes taboo. Like, you don't talk to them, or they have their life outside of the church. You know, when they come to worship, just straight to business, and you forget the relational part that really is the key of keeping it together. What would
you were talking about that earlier, about the relationship that we develop here.
Yeah.
You know, pastor being head worshiper and everything.
Yes.
My main impact and what I've learned most didn't even come from the music ministry here or the worship team. It actually came from the relationship building that the Holy Spirit that literally works through everyby here in leadership.
Yes, for
it's
sure.
amazing, seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It actually started with Pastor C. When after I think that service, and I started kind of getting acclimated with the church, me and Pastor C took a ride. I was going through something.
Yes, the ride.
Yeah, the ride.
Yes. Yes.
I was dealing with a lot of insecurities when I first came here, and Pastor really took a sledgehammer to that wall and started chipping away, you know, and that's what's slowly been happening since I've been here. You know, after that ride, we went to an engage group. We have engage groups, by the way. Another shameless plug. I'm telling you, man, I'm putting them out there, dude.
That's funny.
But we went to this engage group, and you know, they were just sharing the word, talking about the message, and I was like, wow, I'm not used to this. This is cool. You know, it's different. You know, I didn't think too much of it. Sure. I've been to Bible studies before, but you know, hey. So, you know, the whole ride there, he was ministering to me. The whole ride back, he was ministering to me. You know, where I was expecting the normal sit in an office and you talk back and forth dialogue, you share what you want to share, like a straight, you know, what is it? Counseling session. I was expecting it to be a normal counseling session. Lay on the couch, you know. Well, and, you know, just share my life.
Interesting.
Right. Taking notes. And I'll pray about it. You know? I was expecting that to be the case, but it wasn't. It was very personal, really engaged. And that just started, I think, the whole process till today, because from that point, I mean, you get your help, you receive your help from somebody, reach out to you, they help you out, they take drives, take you to engage groups, you meet people that are influential to you. But that one meeting is never enough. It's a continuous process of growth that's needed for us to really reach where God is calling us.
That's correct.
And that's what's been happening. Literally, from that point, that was just the starting point. The embrace that's been happening after that has been amazing. I mean, even you, I mean, your family, you know, when we reached out, we had a house fire. I think it was it wasn't last year, it was the year before. We had a house fire, and our apartment fire, and literally destroyed our entire kitchen. We had just went shopping. All our cabinets were full. We lost pots. We lost plates. We lost all kind of stuff. I mean, we lost a lot of stuff. The smoke filled our entire apartment. So a lot of stuff we had to throw away because the soot and everything that was on it drenched our clothes and everything else. It was pretty bad. Norby here, you actually constructed, the team came with a plan and constructed I've never heard of it. What was it called? You guys, everybody pitched in food or whatever the case is.
Yeah, it was like a train or something.
Yeah, some kind of food train. It was a train, you know, and every day somebody was giving us something, and it was like where I didn't have it, you know, God was literally providing it. You know, and here you guys didn't really know me. You know,
you were new to us. For sure.
You know, you guys didn't really know me. We had developed a relationship, but you guys didn't really know me. You know, so that the fact that God was able to even place an idea like that on your heart was amazing. And that was another part of my journey that really like opened my eyes to what a relationship is. You know, building a relationship with your team, building a relationship with God, and being able to hear from Him, and being keen to where He sends you to help, you know, and who to help. So aside from that, I mean, there was a fire, and I mean, I had a whole series. You know, my life was just, it was a transition. And I think the next there was some small stuff that happened in between that, and I was able to call you and talk to some people. But it wasn't until last year sometime when I had acquired my what do you consider it to me? My not battle buddy.
Oh, like an accountability
partner.
Yes,
Thank you. Yes. So that was the first time I actually established a relationship with accountability partners. Right. It was you and Pastor Jose.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was the strangest meeting I've ever been to. Probably the most uncomfortable meeting I've ever been to.
Yeah.
They literally sat me on a table. They sat on opposite sides of the table. And they tried to be all buddy cool. We're going to talk, just hang out. We're just chilling.
Yeah.
You know? And then, boom! Yeah. They hit me with all types of questions. Yeah. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't
deer in the headlights,
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it was. I wasn't used to being... grilled in that sense, you know. Real. I was used to, if you dealt with something, sadly in the church, in a lot of churches, when you experience something, they don't know how to help. They'll pray for you.
Yes.
They'll, cry over the altar with you, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a process to deliverance. It's not just one experience.
Right.
You have to be able to have that same thing over and over and over
somebody
again.
to walk you through it as well.
And if you don't have it, then you're literally setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, I couldn't forget that I was the one that had me in a situation. So for me to try to figure it out on my own was redundant. It didn't make sense.
Right.
It was pointless.
Yes.
So I needed help.
Right.
So that's what they basically provided. I mean, aside from music was a small part. That's why I say music was a small part in my growth here.
Right.
It was amazing and it's big, but it was small because my spirit man is where I really needed help.
Right.
My walk with Christ was where I really needed help, and you guys did that. I mean, commitment it's been amazing in that aspect. That relationship, it's real here.
Very real, very real. We get as real as possible and as weird as possible for the good of man. For real. Like we have a brother way back. We had these prayer gatherings. Jim Maxim, if you're watching this, shameless plug, prayer gatherings across the nation. He had some of them out here, and he always used to say, "All right, guys, let's get weird." And let's get weird was basically saying, whatever it takes to draw closer to God, whatever it takes to get us on our knees, whatever it takes to just bring us closer to Christ in a way that gets personal, gets in your face, and unadulterated, just real, like grounded prayer and grounded relationships, we got to do it. And it is weird. It's unusual now because it's like, again, in a church, in the last episode, Melissa was saying, she came from Catholicism, and in Catholicism, you don't get the relationship with the priest. He speaks, you speak to him, and he speaks to God, and back like that, and you never have a direct to God. It's just a priest, and it's something weird about going into a booth and speaking in the dark too. That's a whole other thing. But the whole thing about it is there's no real relationship, and something. The ride. I'm telling you, when we sit with Pastor C and we take a ride in a car, take a lunch somewhere, I'm happy, I'm going to eat now, but then he brings it, and that's the culture that we all experience here, is that all the men, we tend to really collaborate and corral and accountability and hold each other accountable for those difficult things that we all go through, that we all experience in life. If you didn't know, we were going to have her one day as well in one of our episodes, but Jalisa is also a part of the worship team, and she's also beyond music. She is an awesome artist, an artist meaning like she paints. I mean, she does all kinds of stuff, with clothing and paintings and murals and whatever. You can put your mind in creative mode. She will do it. Queen J Paints. Check her out. Awesome plug. That's a good one. And she's a part of the worship team as well. Beautiful voice. Very talented. And I see the kids are growing in that as well. We hold little man once in a while when she got gigs going on, and this little man is always banging on his drums, and your daughter Hezekiah, always dancing and wanting to worship. And it's a beautiful thing when we get involved with each other's families as well, like cross together, and really get personal in that way. That it really brings a an intimacy that you don't see anymore in worship teams. And that's why it's so important for that. You know, when we do post each other up on tables and be like, listen, I see you're struggling with this. Well, let's talk about it. Let's really bring it out and let's understand what are the steps, and not just give you steps on a piece of paper and say, this is what you got to do. This is, and then go and do that. No, we are going to keep you accountable because we know at the end of the day, if you hurt, I hurt.
Right.
If your family's hurting, I'm hurting. Right. You know, you're hearing a lot of background noise now. Just to let you know, there's a part of these episodes that we're going to be touching on growth in audio video ministry. Yeah. And we are actually experiencing some construction and growth in our audio video ministry. We're sitting right now in our studio, doing this segment, but we're also getting some background noise from our AV team that's doing construction to move our audio video ministry down to the actual floor level. So we're excited about that too. And that's again intimacy. I mean, if I smash my finger with a hammer, what kind of stuff is going to come out of your mouth? You know, and you got to be ready for any type of thing that happens like that, you know, with your peers, no less. But relationally, you know, when they step on your toes for some reason or something happens, you want to be able to be ready to catch yourself in knowing what it is that you have to do, whatever it takes to bring relationships together. Yes, you're going to step on each other's toes. Yes, you're going to smash that hammer on the proverbial thumb and hurt yourself and hurt somebody else, you know? But what do you do? What are those steps that get you to that place? I don't know. There's many times we challenge each other in the studio once in a while. You know, we'll go in, you know, and there's this idea. And I'll take him on this whole journey, you know, and he could sit there all day and be like, dude, shut up. Let me just play drums. Are you a drummer? Are you a drummer? I could say no, because I'm not. But we respect our artistry. We respect our inspirations together. And he can easily just go off on a tangent on, listen, I got this idea. I'm going to just do this and you got it. And he trusts me on my side too. Like when he has to drum things into the studio, into the tracks, into songs that are relatively new, just written. And I'm telling him, play this. And you know, we get in that trust fall exercise where now he has to leave the studio and trust that it sounds good with the engineering and the mixing, and over God shows that, you know, he has it under control. Really, at the end of the day, I trust him as a drummer musician, he trusts me as an engineer, but we trust God. And it's almost like we're approaching Valentine's Day, and typically Pastor here brings up, you know, the Valentine's message, and he sits with his wife on the stage, and they bring this message about the love triangle. And the love triangle is basically just saying, this is you down here at the base of the triangle on the left or on the right, you know, and God is at the center of it all. It brings it all together. And that's the same with relationships with anybody else, not just marriages, but with people, you know, and it's a love triangle. God is here, and we trust God for the end result of everything, and all the steps that go in between to get to that relationship. So right now, currently, like, what are you doing right now, as far as you know, personally, musically, any projects, any things you have in mind that you want to, you know, endeavor into, and, you know, stuff that God has been showing you right now? This is a new idea we're doing here with Worship Team Foundations. And yes, the letters start WTF. Yes. And we know in society what that means and what they want to tack on. You know what I'm sick and tired of, bro?
What's that?
I'm sick and tired of the enemy taking beautiful, holy things. Worship, team, foundation, and taking the letters and messing them all up. And making it something evil. I can't wear a shirt with a triangle with multicolors on, and people think I'm all about LGBT or something else. And all these different things that are going on in the world right now, whether positive or negative, you know, and there's this bandwagon effect that's happening that you can't even speak or say anything or wear anything without having these things. And, you know, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, I'm trying to go against of. We're about God and Great Commission, you know, and sometimes it does mean you do what it takes, and it's going against the grain of what the world is telling you to do. But what are you up to right now? What is your current stuff that God is showing you?
So, aside from my commitment to commitment.
To commitment. Right.
In the music ministry.
Ditto, right.
Aside from that, I've actually ventured out for the first time Well, actually, the second time. Rebuilding a band. Yeah. A few years back, I attempted to start a media company.
Okay.
And I was going to be renting bands out.
Okay.
So I went out on a few events. I did a couple weddings, little things like that. Nothing real serious.
Right.
But I didn't take the proper steps, so it wasn't the timing.
Right.
Well, recently I was actually presented with the opportunity, and the connection was destined, I think, because of the way it went down.
Yeah.
And I've been praying about it, and I feel comfortable. And the Holy Spirit or God hasn't said anything to me.
Sure.
Opposite. So
sure.
I'm thinking this is part of His plan. Maybe
that's awesome. We definitely will pray about those plans. Yeah, for sure. It's like a birthing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
we're in the beginning stages. It's been going on for a few months, but the preparation process has been a lot different than what I even took a few years back when I tried to do something on my own.
Okay.
But that's pretty much what I'm doing.
That's cool.
And the people that I'm with, they're all believers, which just takes a load off of me because in this craft, or with this gift, it can be mistaken and used for the total opposite of what it was actually destined for.
Right.
And I'm grateful that I'm working with people who don't have that agenda. And we've been candid and open and honest and been able to express ourselves freely on what we feel, what our goals are, the plan for the direction in which we're going.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool. So aside from that, I just work. Work and family, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
So musically, that's where I am.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be, with my commitment for my family, with my commitment, and with my commitment to my band, that'll be plenty.
Yeah.
God's kind of moved me in direction of my passion.
Yes.
And that's what I'm really hoping for. I've always had a mindset that, I work a job.
Sure.
I work a job, but at the end of the day, the job doesn't really mean much to me, because one, God is my provider.
Yes.
And a job to Him is literally just conduit. He uses it as a resource to help me.
Yes.
And He blesses me through that.
Yeah.
We all have our passions and our callings and our gifts.
Yes.
I believe that's where God really wants us to generate our income.
Yes.
Per se. So I feel like God is now moving me in that direction, which is really, it's a fun journey.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, to say it lightly. Is. Yeah, I'm sure.
It's a fun
it's really cool how God will do that, though. He will. He will. Like, we know our specific callings, and what we work doesn't necessarily align to the calling that we have, or does it? But at the end of the day, we know we have the pulse of what God wants to do, and He will use those things, and He will kind of set us up so that in the immediate future, or in the current state that we're in, we learn to trust in Him in a way that is beyond what a job can give us. But our callings is something that stands the test of time. I don't know how many jobs I've worked in, and I've done so many things retail wise and all this. But this has been the longest thing I've ever done, being full-time ministry and leading worship and working with leadership in a church, because it's what God wants me to do. Right. So no matter how bad I mess things up in my life, in things, God's grace brings the lesson plan, and it helps you align back up into where He wants you to be. So I've been doing this for more than 10 years now, and it's been a wonderful journey. It's been, it has been fun. It has its challenges. It has its moments where you're like, I'm done, I'm burnt out, but it's funny how God will continue to circle back and bring you back to the beginning of that, and what, like you said earlier, it is like that. Sometimes we miss that little nugget there, is that, in the beginning you started doing what you're called to do, but it wasn't the right time. Right. And it's almost like God's timing is so impeccable, because it is a good idea. Right. It is a great thing, a great work. Right. But why didn't it work? Right. At that time. Right. But then He takes you back, journeys you, and there's so many things that we have to learn personally, character-wise. I know for me, in order for my dreams to come true, I have to be in character of what God wants me to be like as a person, as a leader, for me to even receive the blessing that He has for me. So if I'm not good with people, if I don't know how to build relationships, if I don't know how to communicate, if I don't know how to follow directions from my leadership, if I don't know how to do all that, then it's all for naught. I'm going to go into a purpose-filled mess.
Right.
Than a purpose-filled reason of Great Commission work, and God wants to bless you, but you're just gonna, mess everything up because you didn't give the time for the process. And I'm glad that God has brought you back around, and I know we're trying to lift something up as far as something to give back to musicians. We have a lot of CDs out there that have great, beautiful worship music. We were thinking about how can we give back to the musicians now? How can we put something together that will speak to the musician's heart? I remember years ago, I was leaving a worship service, and I was going through some stuff as a teenager. And I remember as I was walking out, the musicians lingered at the altar, and they just started playing in the background while people were leaving. And it was almost like there was a sax player, keyboard player, drummer, and they were just kind of lingering. And it was like I heard the voice of God through the sax and through the piano and through he was ministering to me specific things and words in my heart that broke me down. And it only took a devoted group of individuals to just play in the Spirit. And that spoke to me more than any prophet can come to me, thus saith the Lord, putting his hand on my forehead, or anything crazy of the sort. That ministered to me. That's what made the change and the paradigm shift for me in my heart and in my life to this day. And I believe that still stands true, that if we all come together and relationally we play together musically, God will use even just the musical notes and that inspiration to just speak to the hearts of people before you even say a word, before you even sing a lick or a run. It's about your heart, and that's your main instrument, I believe,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it reflects your relationship.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's what ministers to people. So I thank you, bro, for coming out and being a part of this.
Yeah.
This is a new venture that we're doing. We want to provide, the insight, the realness to you guys watching out there. So whether you're on any social media platform, I want you guys to like, subscribe, and share, so you can also comment, anywhere below. Or on the right, or wherever they change it. So many updates all the time. You don't know where the comment section is anymore.
Wherever it is.
And we will read, and we will respond, and we will pray for you.
Ask your questions.
Yeah,
reach out.
For sure. Yeah. And that's what we're here for, to make sure that we provide you all the tips and things that you need to bring success to your worship ministry as leaders. So thank you for watching. And again, join us next time for another segment of Worship Team Foundations.